Emily had always believed that family came first. She had spent years helping her parents and older brother Jake without question. It was just what she did, because that's what family was supposed to do. But the message from her Aunt Martha changed everything. At first, Emily thought it was a mistake, a random voice memo sent to her by accident. But when she pressed play, she heard their voices, crystal clear. "She acts like she's doing us some big favor," Jake scoffed. "She owes us," her mother replied coldly. "She has no husband, no kids. What else is she going to do with all that money? She barely helps as it is," Jake added. "I'm the one actually running Dad's business. She just plays with numbers on a screen." Emily's hands tightened around her phone. The house they were sitting in, the house she had grown up in, was still standing because of her. 4 years ago, when her family had nearly lost it, she had stepped in. They thought they were making mortgage payments to a bank, but the truth? She had been covering nearly 80% of it through her private investment firm, Emerald Holdings. Her father's voice cut in. "It's time we ask her for more. She won't say no." Emily's stomach churned. For years she had given selflessly, believing they respected her. But now, she saw the truth. And this time she wouldn't ignore it. Emily sat at her desk, staring at the spreadsheet on her laptop. The numbers didn't lie. Over the past 4 years, she had paid nearly $250,000 toward her family's mortgage through Emerald Holdings. Meanwhile, her parents and Jake had contributed a fraction of that, barely $50,000 in total. And yet they acted as if she was doing the bare minimum. She played the recording again, her stomach twisting at every word. "She owes us. She barely helps. It's time we ask for more." Their entitlement was staggering. She had structured the payment so they believed they were sending their money to a traditional mortgage lender. It had been her way of keeping the peace, letting them believe they were independent while she silently carried the financial burden. She had done it out of love, and they had responded with mockery and greed. Emily clenched her jaw. They didn't just take her money, they resented her for it. She switched tabs and pulled up the mortgage agreement. Her financial advisor had insisted on including a purchase option clause, a safeguard in case things ever turned sour. If they missed even one payment, Emerald Holdings had the right to assume full ownership. For 4 years, she had never even considered using it. Oh, now she was seeing things clearly. She didn't owe them anything, and for the first time, she wouldn't step in to save them. The next mortgage payment was due in 2 weeks. This time, she wouldn't pay a cent. Emily didn't respond to her family's messages for days. She knew they were waiting for her to reach out, to offer help like she always did. Instead, she focused on preparing. She met with her financial advisor, reviewed every clause in the mortgage agreement, and ensured that everything was legally airtight. Emerald Holdings had the full right to assume ownership the moment they missed a payment. All she had to do was wait. Then her mother called. "Sweetheart, we'd love to have you over for dinner this Sunday. We have something important to discuss." Emily almost laughed, right on schedule. She knew exactly what the important discussion would be. They were struggling. The business wasn't doing as well as they pretended, and they were about to ask her for more money. She agreed to come. When she arrived at her childhood home, everything felt so familiar. The warm scent of her mother's cooking, the way the evening sun cast golden light through the windows. But she knew better now. "Emily, honey," her mother began, reaching for her hand. "Your father and I have been thinking. Times are tough, and the mortgage has been a burden on us." Her father nodded. "We were hoping you could help more." Jake smirked. "It's not like you can't afford it." Emily smiled, keeping her voice steady. "I'll think about it." She knew exactly what would happen next. The mortgage was due in 10 days. And this time, she wasn't paying a dime. Emily left dinner that night with a polite smile, playing her part perfectly. She didn't let them see the anger simmering beneath the surface. But the next morning, she received a text from Aunt Martha. "Check your email. You need to see this." Emily opened the attachment. Screenshots of a private group chat, one she had been deliberately excluded from. The chat name? Family Finances. Her stomach twisted as she scrolled through the messages. Jake, Emily acts like she's doing us a favor, but she barely helps. I'm the one running Dad's business while she plays with her little numbers. Mom, she should be contributing more. She has no family of her own. What else does she spend her money on? Dad, we'll ask her again, but if she resists, we have another option. Emily's heart pounded as she read further. Jake. Yeah, remember those investment documents she left open last time she visited? I looked up that Emerald Holdings thing. She's been hoarding money there instead of helping us. Mom, if she says no, we remind her about that tuition money she borrowed in college. She thought we didn't know, but we have proof. She won't have a choice. Emily nearly laughed out loud. The so-called proof was nothing more than a desperate bluff. That tuition money? She had borrowed it with her father's approval and paid it back in full, with interest. But they were willing to blackmail her if she didn't comply. They weren't just using her. They were plotting against her. And now, she was done pretending. Emily sat at her desk, fingers hovering over her laptop keyboard. She had all the proof she needed. The secret group chat, the threats of blackmail, and most importantly, the mortgage agreement that gave her complete control. For years, she had played the role of the dutiful daughter, silently carrying their financial burdens. But now, she had the power to do something they'd never expect. She pulled up the online banking portal for Emerald Holdings. The next mortgage payment was due in 5 days. Normally, she would have wired the remaining balance without a second thought, but this time, she closed the tab. Let them feel the pressure. 2 days before the due date, her mother called. Sweetheart, have you thought about what we talked about? The mortgage payment is coming up, and we really need your help. Emily leaned back in her chair, keeping her voice calm. Don't worry, Mom, she said. Everything will be clear soon. The next morning, her father attempted to make the payment. It bounced. An automatic email from Emerald Holdings was sent out. Notice of debacle. At exactly 9:12 a.m., her phone rang. It was her mother. Emily, something's wrong. The bank is saying we defaulted, but that doesn't make any sense. Emily smiled, staring at the screen before answering. This was the moment she had been waiting for. Emily took a deep breath before answering the call. Emily, her mother's panicked voice filled the line. Something's wrong with the mortgage. The bank says we defaulted, but we've been making payments every month. Emily leaned back in her chair, keeping her voice steady. You haven't been paying a bank, she said. You've been paying me. Silence. What? Her mother whispered. You didn't read the fine print, did you? Emily continued. 4 years ago, when you were about to lose the house, I bought the mortgage through Emerald Holdings. Every month you sent in your portion, but I covered the rest. More silence then. Her father's voice cut in, sharp and angry. You tricked us? Emily let out a small laugh. I saved you. Then why are you doing this? Her mother cried. Because you never appreciated it, Emily shot back. Because you sat around that table calling me a burden. Because you planned to blackmail me when I finally said no. Her mother sputtered, trying to deny it, but Emily wasn't listening. The house is legally mine now, she said firmly. You're no longer homeowners. You're tenants. Rent is due in 30 days. Jake's voice jumped in, furious. You wouldn't dare evict your own family. Emily exhaled slowly, her decision already made. We'll see. Then she hung up. Emily expected the backlash, but the sheer speed of it was almost impressive. Within hours of hanging up, her inbox was flooded with emails from extended family, some pleading, others demanding that she do the right thing. A few even accused her of being heartless. She deleted them all. The next morning, Jake sent a text. Jake, you just made the biggest mistake of your life. Family is everything. You'll regret this. Emily smirked. Family is everything? Funny how that only applied when they needed money. Then, another text, this time from an unknown number. Unknown, we know where you work. Maybe your employer should hear about your little business on the side? Emily's blood ran cold. She wasn't surprised. She had heard them talk about this at dinner, but seeing them actually make the threat, that was different. She immediately forwarded the message to her lawyer and her company's HR department, along with the evidence Aunt Martha had sent her. Emily, hi, just a heads up. My family is attempting to spread false claims against me. Attached are messages proving their intent. Her lawyer replied within minutes. Lawyer, smart move. If they follow through, we'll hit them with defamation. Also, the eviction notices are ready whenever you are. Emily took a deep breath. It was happening. Her family thought they could manipulate her. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. 30 days came and went. Despite their threats and manipulations, her family hadn't paid rent. They thought she was bluffing. They were wrong. Emily filed the eviction notice the day after the grace period ended. Her lawyer assured her everything was airtight. Within a week, the court approved it. When the official notice was served, her mother called, sobbing. Emily, please, we're family. How can you do this to us? Emily closed her eyes, steadying herself. No, Mom. You did this to yourselves. Jake tried a different approach. Fine, you win, he sneered. Enjoy your empty house, you bitter control freak. Emily exhaled slowly. It won't be empty for long. 3 weeks later, the house was sold. The profits? They went straight into a fund Emily set up to support people escaping financial abuse. Because she knew firsthand how it felt. Jake's attempt to smear her at work had backfired spectacularly. Not only was she cleared, but his unethical actions in his own business had come to light, leading to an investigation. Her mother sent one final voicemail before she blocked their numbers. You'll regret this, Emily. Emily smiled as she deleted it. No, she wouldn't. For the first time in years, she had no obligations, no burdens, just freedom. And she intended to enjoy every second of it. Lessons learned from the story. 1. Boundaries matter. No matter how much you love your family, it's crucial to set financial and emotional boundaries. Sacrificing endlessly for others who don't appreciate it only leads to resentment and burnout. 2. Gratitude is a two-way street. Helping family is one thing, but being treated like a personal ATM with no respect in return is unacceptable. If people don't appreciate your kindness, you're not obligated to keep giving. 3. Financial awareness is power. Emily's ability to structure the mortgage under Emerald Holdings protected her in the long run. Understanding finances and contracts can be the difference between being taken advantage of and having control. 4. Trust but verify. Just because someone is family doesn't mean they always have your best interests at heart. Emily assumed her family valued her, but their betrayal proved otherwise. Blind trust can be dangerous. 5. Revenge isn't always about hurting someone. It's about taking back control. Emily didn't destroy her family. She simply let them face the consequences of their own actions. Sometimes, the best way to move forward is to step back and stop enabling toxic behavior. 6. Choosing yourself isn't selfish. Walking away from manipulation and emotional blackmail isn't cruelty, it's self-preservation. Emily didn't just reclaim her house, she reclaimed her peace. This story is a reminder that family should be built on respect, not obligation, and sometimes, the best way to love yourself is to say no.